Hey everybody, it's Dr. Brockenshire. It's 2020, and I've got a plan for this year that makes what I do for you guys a lot easier for everybody. I've taken all the complicated concepts that I work with and distilled them down into one 8-hour session that we're going to take across the country. Hopefully, it should simplify your lives, my lives, and we'll have a lot of fun presenting it. So the topic title is called The Paradoxical Confluence of Chronic Inflammation and Autoimmunity. And I know it's a mouthful, but pretty much describes what I do. And if your practice is anything like mine, you know that one of the biggest barriers we have today is trying to explain to people what we do. But a crisis is brewing, and I don't mean an autoimmunity. I mean the crisis of patients trying to educate themselves with podcasts. So the internet is ripe with misinformation. Part of my job is to make sure that you as the professional and the provider have what you need to start putting good content out there so we can steer this ship around in 2020. Now, autoimmune disease is a crisis. I don't need to labor that to death. You guys can look that up on your own. But last fall, I had the privilege of sitting down with Dr. Schoenfeld from Jerusalem, who is the world expert in autoimmune disease. And we had a lengthy discussion about his new textbook. We'll talk about that. But what I found interesting is that his point, after publishing over 350 research articles on the topic, is that autoimmune disease is nothing more than a dysfunction of diet and lifestyle factors, which sounds a lot like functional medicine. And so it made me kind of look at what I'm doing, and I realized, wow, I've been doing advanced functional medicine since 1998, which is before functional medicine even had a name. And if I've learned anything from the last 22 years of using this technology, is that tests don't get people better. Tests don't make people well. A well thought out action plan does. Now, where tests can help guide the action plan, you really can't get there unless you've sat down and discovered the why to the dysfunction that the patient's presenting. And so that's what I'm going to present to you. I'm going to show you how to get to the why, and more importantly, how to craft that action plan so we can all get better results and not keep chasing our tails. Now, another point we have to bring up in this 8-hour session is this epidemic of Lyme disease. And Lyme is not the answer. It's also not the problem. Lyme is a sign. When you start looking at Lyme and treating people with Lyme, you're going to notice all these acronyms start popping up. You start running across things like EBV or CMV or HSV or HPV or LMNOP or any other acronym we haven't thought of yet. And what I've noticed after working with this for the last 15 years, and I've been part of all the major Lyme groups, what I want to bring to you in this particular segment during the 8 hours is how to sift through that minutia of disease, find out why this is really happening. And what you're going to find out that more than likely it all boils back to some other type of infection, typically mold or mycoplasmas. So we'll talk about how to treat those, how to help the body manage that. A lot of these things that we're going to get into involve tools you already have, which is beautiful because we don't need to buy new things. Oh yeah, what about Alzheimer's? Because Alzheimer's, being a cognitive decline, is an autoimmune disease. So I'm going to show you why that is, how to discover that, some new technologies involved on how to assess that in people, and more importantly, treatment protocols to go with all of these topics of conversations that we're going to have. So I'm really excited to bring this whole new concept to you in a nice condensed session. We're going to start off in Chicago. We'll make our way through to the West Coast, into the Southwest, and back up to the Midwest in October, where we'll end this crazy journey in St. Louis. So I look very forward to seeing some old friendly faces, hopefully firing up some conversation with some new friendly faces, and creating some great content so we can all share this and make 2020 a healthier year for everybody. I'll see you then.